Ready in 3, 2, 1, action.
Hi, welcome to today's The Red Dot Reset podcast. I am Jim.
You are Jim?
So excited already. Sorry, I'm Catherine.
Full context, we are Singaporeans. We just moved from Medan, Indonesia to KL about 4 to 5 months ago.
So 3 countries, 3 EVs, eh?
Yeah, 3 countries, we bought 3 EVs. So yeah, you can obviously tell that I am a fan of EVs over traditional ICE cars. So ICE actually stands for internal combustion engines. Okay, I'm afraid I might offend a few people in this video.
Why?
So
Welcome to today's episode of The Red Dot The Red Dot Reset podcast. I say too fast. My name is Catherine.
I'm Jim.
Today we are reviewing our latest purchase, a Tesla Model Y long range. Before we talk about the buying processes, let's settle on a debate. Among the 3 cars, which one do you like the most?
Okay, so in Singapore, right, we used to own a Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive. We owned that for about 15 months. And then in Indonesia, we used to own a BYD Seal Premium. That was for about 11 months. And then finally, the one that we are seated in right now, we have owned it for 4 months. So your question was, which car do I prefer the most, right?
Yeah, correct.
So if I have to pick one, I'll pick the Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive because it feels a bit more grounded. The drive feels smoother and it can handle better in corners. Like, sometimes you are turning and then it feels like the car is more rooted to the ground as compared to the Model Y. It feels a bit wobbly and I don't really like the handling for the Model Y. But I understand that its utility in Malaysia is a lot better because it is an SUV, right? It has higher ground clearance. It's better for navigating floods. It's better for navigating the rocky roads and surfaces and terrain in Malaysia. So yeah, obviously pros and cons to BYD and Tesla, but this is not a Tesla versus BYD video. It's just I prefer Tesla because the software is better. The autopilot feature is better. There is Sentry mode available, so I don't have to buy another camcorder to record the events that's happening around the car when I'm not around. And obviously, they also have all the other funny stuff that you get to play on the toy box.
Right.
Things like the
farting function.
Yeah, the farting function or whatever. It just feels like a gimmick at the end of the day, I understand. But it's just what guys like, we like to play with all these kind of farting sounds just for fun. And
I always tell him that this car is really built by boys because, why would we even have this kind of farting function in a car? So That's why he really likes it. But why did you buy BYD in Medan? Why not a Tesla?
Yeah, so Tesla is not officially launched in Indonesia, other than the fact that you go and get a parallel import. If you buy a parallel import, they charge you like double or triple the price. It's completely not worth it. So obviously, I don't see a need to go for that. I rather buy something that's officially distributed and officially launched. There will be no issues with the warranties. There will be no issues with the maintenance. There will be no issues with selling the car as well. And we won't face any difficulty doing that. So that's why I decided to go with BYD because Tesla wasn't officially launched in Indonesia.
When we were in Medan for the last 15 months.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so if you guys want to know more about our purchasing processes of the BYD in Medan, let us know in the comment section below and we can just create another entire different video just talk about our experience from buying to selling our BYD car in Medan. Okay? So we placed the order for this car. Let's talk about the collection day in Cyberjaya. So this car is collected in Cyberjaya, Malaysia. We collected new cars in Singapore and Indonesia before. How was the whole experience like?
Okay, I'm afraid I might offend a few people in this video.
Why?
So I think the car collection process in Singapore at that point in time, I think Tesla only launched for about 1 year to 1.5 years. And then at a point in time when we were collecting the car, it was a more bespoke experience. It was a one-to-one experience. The delivery advisor was, showing us one-to-one, how to use the entire car, the features in the car, and overall, the experience was very bespoke. Yeah, it was very personalized and very customized. Yeah, they showed more care and concern. So I think as the EV adoption grew, right, when we started to collect our car in Malaysia, it felt a lot less personalized really. The delivery advisor wasn't even showing us the features of the car one-to-one and all that anymore. And I think that was fine for us because I used to own the Tesla, so I know exactly how it works really. So that was a big difference, but I can understand that because in Malaysia, I think they are selling about 7,000 units per year. So you can imagine per day they have to deal with 20 or even more than 20 deliveries per day. So I don't know whether it's 7,000 or it's more than that, but I think it's around there. And then in Singapore, obviously it will be lesser because the affordability of it will be lower. And that's why I think at a point in time when we bought the vehicle back in 2023, in February, at a point in time, the EV adoption was still quite low. I think it wasn't as much as now. So that's why they are able to provide that bespoke one-to-one, customer experience, and the collection process felt better.
I remember that we were being ushered to the car park area after the mini training, and then they just expect us to go and find our own cars. So after we found the car, we just take away the plastic ourselves. And then after that, we just drove out, just like that. It just feel like, there's not much excitement. Before we took home this car, right, Jim rented a car, which is an ICE car, and driven here in Malaysia for a month.
Yeah, we had to use it for a month. We have no choice but to use a car because we live in an area whereby there's no MRTs, there's no LRTs, and if you were to use Grab, I think it will be quite troublesome also because the Grab don't want to come here. Or the Grab don't want to come here to pick us up as well. So we definitely have to rent a car.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk numbers. What were the costs?
Okay, so this will be the most not controversial topic, but this will be the most exciting part of the video. So the Model Y long range that we are seated in now is 246,000 ringgit. Okay, which is around 78,000 Sing dollars. So if you compare to the BYD Seal that we used to own in Medan, right, that was 54,000 Sing dollars. Yeah, so the price for a BYD Seal in Singapore is $213,888 for the premium Cat B version. So if you're planning to get a Tesla in Malaysia, please use my promo code, my referral code below, so that both you and I can actually get some free supercharging miles, and you will even get a discount code from your purchase as well. So they do give you a free charging cable and a connector, and you can actually install it in your home for free.
How was the installation like for BYD and Tesla?
You can't install the charging cable for free. They give you the cable for free, but when you install, you have to pay the installation charges for Malaysia. In Singapore, I actually don't recall that they gave us the cable. Yeah, so we were not even able to sell that away or what.
Right.
Yeah, because I think people that actually are able to install that will be 4% of the entire population, since only 3 to 4% of the entire population lives in a landed.
It would still be nice to have.
Yeah, you can just resell it, right? To, another company or something. But anyways, so what was your question again?
Which is like, how was the installation process like for BYD and also for Tesla?
Okay, so I think in Indonesia, you also have to get a private installer to go and install for you. The BYD authorized distributor in Indonesia actually referred us to one of their own installers, and then you just need to pay the guy like 200 Sing dollars or something, and then he will install it at a location of your choice. And then similarly for the one here, I had to pay the installer slightly more. I think I paid about 400 or 500 Sing dollars. For him to install the charger here. Yeah,
so they are authorized.
Yeah, so if you click on the link below here, right, it actually includes the Tesla authorized charging installers, right, to use in Malaysia, and make sure you use them, because if you use an unauthorized one, you might get into some issues like the thing might stop working, or there might be a fire or whatever. So I don't want to risk things like that. True. Obviously, I just go through the official channels that are recommended by Tesla. They are certified installers. They are able to install it properly. They make sure that the grounding, the earthing or whatever, the safety protocols are followed. So yeah, that's definitely something that you can just click on the link below. You get all the Tesla certified installers.
Okay, so this brings me to the next point, which is like, this car comes together with a license plate, right? And then somehow I remember that you were showing me a list of the license alphabet for different states in Malaysia. And eventually you choose Sabah.
Apparently, I realized that it is cheaper because I was speaking to the sales advisor. He was asking me like, "Bro, what license plate do you want? Are you gonna buy a custom license plate or something?" And then I'm like, "No, I'm not. I don't need a custom license plate, but I just want a license plate that starts with S, so that you can kind of stand for Singapore." Yeah, I thought I could trick people to think that this is a Singapore car just for the LOLs, but no. Yeah, so when the license plate actually arrived, right, it came with the Malaysia flag on top because it's the new EV plate. It has this green color thing on the left hand side of the plate. So that's how you actually tell that it's a Malaysia car. It's not a Singapore car. Yeah. So as Singaporeans, we are not able to drive this vehicle into Singapore. Yeah, we can only use it within Malaysia.
Yeah, because I recall you sent an email to the Singapore Police Force, right?
No, I sent an email to LTA. Yeah, to check with LTA whether we are able to make some workarounds because we genuinely live here. We are not trying to we're just trying to do visiting in Singapore, but it's completely banned. Yeah, so the only way we can actually get to Singapore is through a flight, or you have to take another private transport. The reason why they have to actually launch a new EV plate, right, is to actually distinguish between a car that is an EV and a car that is an ICE car, so that in the event of a fire, if the vehicle catches fire, they know the correct methods to put out the fire. So that's what I found out as well.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And then one thing about this car plate is that the alphabet and the numbers, it is very tiny. It's very small. And it became quite a big issue for us, right? When the letters is small.
Yeah. So some of the issues that we face, right, because of the vehicle plate having smaller letters and smaller numbers, right, is that whenever we drive into some car parks and we try to exit, right, it always has this issue of being unable to detect the correct number plate. And then I have to press the intercom and wait for the intercom person to get back to me and try to re-enter the correct license plate so that we can detect our entry and our exit, so that we can pay for the parking before we exit. Yeah, so this has happened numerous times and it's quite annoying, but that's why I think the next time I bring the vehicle back to do a tire rotation at Tesla Service Center, I will definitely ask them to change the license plate if possible.
Now that we are living in a landed house and then the car is parked outside the house, I do have this concern whereby our car might not survive the extreme heat here in Gamuda.
Okay, so the good thing about Teslas, right, is that it comes with this thing called the cabin overheat protection feature, which I don't think the BYD has. So what the cabin overheat protection feature is, right, is that the moment your car hits a certain temperature in the interior, let's say 30 degrees Celsius, 35 degrees Celsius, or 40 degrees Celsius, you can actually set what is the threshold that you want to accept. So let's say for me, I set it at 40 degrees Celsius. So at any point in time, it goes above 40 degrees Celsius in the interior cabin, right? What will happen is the aircon will automatically turn on, and then it would lower the temperature of the car to make sure that it stays below 40 degrees Celsius. So what this does is it helps to make sure that your interior, the kind of
vegan leather.
the vegan leather doesn't get damaged. The internal components of the car doesn't get damaged as a result of the cabin overheating. Yeah, so that definitely is a feature that Tesla has. I'm not sure if BYD has. From my recollection, when I own the Seal, I don't think it has this feature.
Yeah. Then can you explain why do you put all these sunshades?
Yeah, so by right, it's a full glass roof that you can actually see the top, right? But the reason why we installed these sunshades is because our home, right, has a partial shelter.
Yeah.
The entire car cannot be covered in shelter. Only the front half of the car is covered in shelter. Yeah. And then the back is not. Yeah, so this is a design that our complex actually has, our housing complex actually has for all the units here, unfortunately. We obviously prefer a fully sheltered one so that whenever we come home, we don't have to get caught in the rain.
Yeah.
So that's why we actually installed this sunshade, and to ensure that, the car doesn't actually remain directly under the sun and, consume more electricity than it should when the cabin overheat feature is actually activated.
So do you mean that each time that it overheats and it use Sentry mode, it consumes more electricity?
Yeah, for sure. So, it's just a marginal amount. Maybe it just consumes like 0.5% to 1% per day that you pump. But because you live in a landed now, right, you have your own charger. You can actually just plug it in every day and it just consumes the extra 0.5 to 1%. It's not a big deal.
Speaking of weather, yesterday we went through a flood and it was quite funny to me. And the car, I want to show you all the car that is on the
Cue the
exterior.
B-rolls.
Yeah, on the exterior is quite dirty. Are you worried about driving an EV in the water?
Okay, funnily enough, right, based on my research, right, it is safer to drive an EV through the floods as compared to driving an ICE car through the floods. Sorry, let me clarify. It is safer to drive a Tesla or a BYD through the floods
right.
as compared to driving a traditional ICE car through the floods. The reason why is because the base, right, the bottom base of a Tesla or a BYD car is actually waterproof. It is protected by like a seal or something. And the seal actually ensures that water cannot actually enter the core components of the car, which is the battery. Because the battery is the most valuable asset of the car. It's very costly. So there are certain EVs that does not have this protection feature, like for example, Wuling, or that's all I know. Wuling doesn't have the protection because there are a lot of Wulings in Indonesia. Yeah, a lot of Wuling EVs in Indonesia, which we see a lot of them. And then we heard a horror story from one of our friends who had another friend that drove the Wuling EV through a flood. And then the battery was completely compromised. They had to send it to the workshop and they had to get it fixed. So luckily, based on my research for Tesla and BYD, if you drive it through a flood, the maximum that it can really take, right? The maximum that it can really tahan, right, is between 15 to 30 minutes. And you have to make sure that you drive at a speed of between 7 to 10 kilometers per hour. Yeah, the reason why is because when you drive at a speed of 7 to 10 kilometers per hour, you create a bow wave in front of the car so that you actually push the water in front. And with this momentum that you create with the car slowly moving in front, the car actually doesn't have the water entering the cabin or attempting to enter the cabin because the motion of the water is actually moving forward rather than trying to enter the car. So I think that's one of the reasons why it is safer to use a Tesla or a BYD to drive through a floods. I'm sure there are other car brands like, all the China brands like Xpeng and
Omoda, is it?
Yeah, Denza or Omoda or Cherry or whatever. I think some of them are probably also waterproof or water resistant. Yeah, it's just that the ones that I've driven is Tesla and BYD.
For those that have experience driving through floods, how do you all maintain your car? So leave a comment below so that we can take notes. Next is, y'all might notice that there's a P plate sticker being pasted over here. Actually, that's for me lah. So I finally got my license here in Malaysia. In Singapore, I did try to apply for my license, but it takes really very long. It takes about a year for me to even book
all you Malaysians, you're damn lucky, your driving center don't even need to queue. In Singapore, you have to wait 9 months before you can finally take the test, is it?
Yeah,
and you have to go through each lesson one by one.
Yeah, 1 hour per lesson.
In Malaysia, you can one shot take 4 hours worth of lessons in a single visit.
Yeah.
In Singapore, there's no such thing. You can only take 1 hour per visit you make to the driving center, right?
Yeah, correct. So it's like
Malaysians
5 practical class. Per class is 4 hours. And then there's 2 exams. But I'm still on probation for 2 years. So I have this driving license. So after 2 years, I have to convert it into a driving license. Then maybe only then I can go and convert it to a Singapore driving license.
So let's talk about the cost. Okay, what was the cost of getting your driving license in Malaysia? And then
I can't remember. Oh my head.
Okay, I remember. Okay, we paid 3,000 ringgit for her driving license. Okay, 3,000 ringgit is actually 950 Sing.
Yes.
950 Sing dollars. If you were to get a Singapore driving license now, it's how much? It's at least 2.8k, right?
More than that. 3K,
maybe 2.8k to 3k plus.
Depending on if you take class private or
school.
Or
school is more expensive, is it? Depends on how many lessons you take. Private is more expensive.
Is it?
No. School is more expensive. Yeah, because private you can control how many lessons you want to take.
Yeah,
and then if you are good at driving, then you don't need to take that much.
Yeah, and there's this funny policy that the driving center implemented whereby if you pass your theory test at 50 out of 50, right, they will give you $50 like cash.
50 ringgit.
Oh yeah.
So she got 50 ringgit because she got full marks.
Time sensitive right now. We're going to cover like one of the final questions, which is, I think I want to talk about this point about the autopilots.
Okay, autopilot.
Yeah, we do
specifically for the Tesla, the autopilot. Okay.
Wait, BYD don't have autopilot, man?
So BYD, right, what they call it, right? They call it the Traffic Assist Cruise Control, TACC.
Right.
Yeah, so
But you never use it before.
I've used it on the highway, but I don't think it's as good as the autopilot feature in the Tesla, because sometimes it cannot calibrate the steering properly. Yeah, so that is from my experience, obviously, and maybe it's because the roads in Medan are less proper. The highways are not properly. Actually, the highways are still good. It's just that maybe the feature of the traffic assist cruise control for the BYD is not that good or something. Yeah.
We kept discussing that actually BYD has good hardware.
Yeah.
Not so good software.
Yeah, so the genuine leather seats, amazing, right? The
really
comfort of the seats is the best. I feel that it is better than the seats that we are seated on.
Correct.
Yeah.
I love it too. I love like the buttons and the functions.
Yeah, but
when it comes to software,
the autopilot equivalent feature, which is the traffic assist cruise control feature in the BYD, didn't give me as much confidence, as the Tesla autopilot feature, which I am very, very used to.
there are some people that owns a Tesla. They don't even know that their car comes with autopilot.
So we have met several Malaysians that actually owns a Tesla, that own a Tesla vehicle in Malaysia, but they don't use the autopilot feature at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the reason why is because some time ago, right, there's a news article that came out in Malaysia that said that you are not allowed to use autopilot in Malaysia.
Why?
But the funny thing is, the definition of autopilot, right, by what the Malaysia government understands and the way the Tesla team define autopilot is very different. Because autopilot, right, is defined as level 2 autonomous driving by Tesla.
Okay.
But I think when the Malaysian government says autopilot, right, they are actually referring to level 3 autonomous driving in their context, which is basically full self-driving. Yeah, so full self-driving, right, is still not yet made available in Malaysia. So yeah, like there's nothing to worry, man. The government, I believe this is the case, but someone can actually correct me in the comments down below. Yeah, because level 2 autonomous driving is the only one that's available, which is the one where it will help you follow and keep a safe distance in front of the car, and it can also help you steer the steering wheel on your behalf.
That's what
that is level 2 autonomous driving.
Oh, okay.
Now, level 3 autonomous driving, what do we define it as? That is when you can fully don't even need to steer at all. You don't even need to leave your foot on the pedal to accelerate or change the signals at all. And you don't even need to navigate, and you don't even need to park the car. The car will even park itself for you. That's called full self-driving. Yeah, that's called level 3 autonomous driving. So I think it's because of the terms that are being used by Tesla that actually creates quite a lot of confusion. Yeah, because I've spoken with a few friends, right? And then they are like, Tesla available, can use autopilot in Singapore, meh? There are some of my friends that also say that. Then I say, can. But that's because I'm referring to level 2 autonomous driving, not level 3 autonomous driving, which is called full self-driving. Okay. Yeah, so that should debunk a lot of the myths that some people have regarding autopilot in Singapore and Malaysia.
There's this part about Tesla whereby you can top up for the autopilot. What does that mean?
Okay, that one is you have to pay an additional, I'm talking about Sing dollars equivalent now. Enhanced autopilot is 5.5k, and then full self-driving is 11k. But there's no point in topping up for full self-driving, which costs 11k, because it's not even available yet in Singapore and Malaysia. And you can top up anytime you want. Yeah, so if you want to top it up when it comes out, it's also fine. Now, for EAP, right, which is enhanced autopilot, right, what are some of the features that you get? You get automated parking. So the car can actually park for you once you find the parking slot. Then you select it on the screen, and then it'll park for you. And then you can also do auto lane change, which is on the highway, right? If you tap your left signal, right, it can auto change to the left lane for you. And if you tap the right signal, it can auto change to the right lane for you. That's called auto lane change. These are the only 2 features that you get if you were to buy the enhanced autopilot feature, which I see no point lah. I mean, parking, seriously, like, you're already so slack already. You're already on the highway down there, autopilot, don't need to do anything already. Then you don't even want to park. I mean, I see no point in paying 5.5k Sing dollars for that.
Maybe we should come up with a tutorial on how to use autopilot on the highway in Malaysia. Because when we're driving on
but we
highway,
cannot record it. Later JPJ then we kena. Jangan kacau lah.
Oh no. Okay.
JPJ, jangan kacau lah, sia.
What? No, because I want to say that when you're driving on the highway, maybe 1.5 kilometers before your next exit, then you disengage the autopilot. right?
Okay, so you're saying if you want to exit, you want to take the next exit, you
correct.
definitely have to disengage the autopilot
Correct.
lah. Yeah,
So-
obviously lah.
So
yeah.
that's what we are trying to explain to our Malaysian friends over here, which is like because when we say that, oh, you know, you can use autopilot to drive, they were quite scared. They don't know. They were just
chill
thinking
lah,
that how are you going to drive? But of course, you have to disengage. Not throughout the whole journey you engage autopilot.
Yeah,
That is impossible.
Correct. It's like the same autopilot feature that pilots use in the sky, right? They still have to taxi the plane when it lands. They still have to do the takeoff for the plane when it takes off.
Yeah.
And they also have to land the plane, right? They cannot autopilot to land, right? There's no
Correct.
auto land feature yet, right? It's the same concept. I think that is why Tesla uses the term autopilot. Yeah, it's not trying to say that you can drive, you can park the car fully and you can also drive the car without touching the steering wheel at all completely.
Yeah.
So the autopilot feature is only usable typically on expressways. If you try to use it on a small road, it cannot even detect the traffic light for you. Like for example, there's a red light, right? It will just see the red light and continue going past the junction. So that's how dangerous it is. You should not use the autopilot feature on small roads or in the city. You should only use it on expressways.
Okay. I guess that's all for our experience buying cars in Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia. If you guys have any questions, comment down below. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram and TikTok because we're trying to hit 20k by the end of this year, 2026.
Okay, so if you're looking to buy a Tesla vehicle anywhere in the world, right, make sure you use the referral link down below. Okay, and then
perks.
and then you and I can get both of us can get free supercharging miles, or you can also get $1,000 up to $1,000 off your vehicle purchase. SGD, I think. Yeah, but hey, there's something in it for you and I. So
what does the supercharging miles do?
Yeah, so you can actually have free supercharging if you were to use the supercharger like for long road trips. So typically you only use a supercharger for longer road trips, or in Singapore if you don't get access to your own charger in a landed property, right? Then you just charge at the supercharger and then you go to wherever you want to go after that.
Yeah, correct.
So all Tesla destination chargers across the world is currently free. So even in Singapore, even in Malaysia, yeah, even in Thailand as well. So you can actually charge with the Tesla destination charger, which is the slow charger, which takes about, I think, 6 hours to go from 20 to 80%, about maybe lesser than that, maybe 5 hours. Yeah, to go from 20% to 80%. Yeah, so that's the slow charger. But for superchargers, you can actually go from 20% to 80% in maybe less than 25 minutes. Yeah. So that's the difference.
Yep. So click on the link below. Let's be friends, Tesla friends. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Oh yeah. But before that, we actually turn on this dock mode so that we can still experience aircon in the car while doing our vlog.
Yeah, so
podcast.
what the dock mode does is it actually locks the car as though there's a dog in the vehicle or a pet in the vehicle. And then what happens is it keeps the aircon on. So in the traditional ICE car, right, most people actually leave the pet in their vehicle without actually turning on the aircon.
They got turn on the aircon. Anyhow say.
There are freak accidents. Where maybe the pet owners, they try to run an errand, they get out of the vehicle and then they forgot to actually leave the aircon on, and then some of the pets would suffocate.
Yeah.
Because it's too hot, right? The cabin can get very, very hot at times, right? 40 degrees Celsius or more. So what this pet mode or dog mode, is it called dog mode?
Dog mode.
Okay, it's called dog mode. So this dog mode does, right, is it keeps the cabin locked, right? So that it's secure. And then at the same time, it also ensures that the aircon is consistently turned on at 21 degrees Celsius. And it doesn't produce carbon monoxide poisoning.